It is a common mistake copying a lot of HTML code snippets across your templates. In this video we are going to fix that by learning special templates that will allow you to write dynamic HTML code so that you will have much more maintainable Django projects. And this should be a very interesting video for you if you just started to learn Django, because it will definitely help you to build towards your dream project. If you will enjoy this video, please be sure to hit the like button and also consider subscribing to my channel, and let's get started. Now I'm using a template project to show a lot of Django stuff in my channel, so you don't really have to create a project of your own. You can just go ahead and visit this link from my description, and then you can just go ahead and clone the repository like that. Now once I copy this link from here, then I can use on my workstation git clone and then basically paste in the link, and now you will see the project being downloaded and we are good to go from here. Now I can go ahead and basically cd to my project, and you can see that it includes this base app directory which we should go inside, and then you can find the manage.py file which will help us to execute this application. So I will do that, cd base app and then python manage.py run server, and then this will execute our application. If we want to test this very quickly, then I will copy that and paste this in. You can see that this is the project that we will work on. So this will be the file that we will work with, and home.html is the file that was responsible to show this page here. Now this inherits from the base.html, so that's why you can see the sidebar and the home display here as well. Okay, so let's get started. Now we need to work with some HTML in order to simulate how you could avoid copying a lot of HTML across your templates. So in order to simulate that, then I'm going to use an additional HTML source code that will be responsible to display a nice table with some data that you probably want to display to your templates. So I'm going to go to my code snippets repository. Again, you can find this in my description, and in this one I'm just going to click on the folder of Django for everyone, and you can find here in the Django templates a file that I named table.html. Now you can easily copy this like that. Okay, this is a very nice table that just simulates some data that we are going to display just right now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the block content tags. Now maybe you did not hear before about template inheritance in Django, so that's okay if you are not familiar with the syntax of the code that I will write. And this should not affect at all understanding the value of this tutorial for you. Anyway, there will be an upload about template inheritance on my channel very soon. Now obviously, like in most of the Django projects, this also inherits from a base.html file that includes tags that are contents. So I'm going to use those syntax again, and I'm going to say block content, and I'm also going to say end block, and between those I'm going to paste in my table. Now all those 60 lines just displays a nice table, and we will see that just in a bit. Now I minimize that, and now that we save this file, then we can go ahead and basically refresh our page, and you can see that it shows a nice table. Okay, so now that we have this, let's work on the code and also see the changes here on the right side in our website. Now you can see that the table tag starts definitely from here, and you can see that each table is divided into table head and table body. Now table head is something that we can leave as it is only responsible to show the column names. So I'm going to minimize it, and in the table body you can see that we have a couple of times the tr tag, which represents table row. So if I minimize this and that and this and that, then you can see that we have 4 from those. So those 4 are responsible to show those 4 rows. Now this is something that we want to avoid when we manage templates as a first priority, because all the data that you want to display should arrive from a database, and that's why leaving only one table row is enough, and then we can wrap this with a for loop, which this for loop will loop over the data that is coming from a database, which we are going to simulate right now as well. So if I remove those 3, then you can see that we only have 1 right now, which is good. Okay, so now you can see that each table data includes ID here, and also something that describes the task name, and in addition a progress visualization. So I will name this field probably progress percentage. You can see that it is also displayed here in a column that is called label. Now I can understand that if we change this style width equals to 55% to 90%, then we will have a bigger progress bar, which will be 9 out of 10 complete. You can see that this is definitely the behavior, so that is good thing to notice here. Okay, so now that we understood this, then let's go ahead to our views and generate some dummy data that we could send to this template. Now, the views file is located inside the main directory, and then you have the views.py here inside this project. Now, in the function, you can see that I'm sending our users to the template that is named home.html, which is the template that we work on. But you can see that the context is equal to an empty dictionary, meaning that we don't send any data, any Python dictionary, for example, to the HTML template. So let's go ahead and work on that. Now I'm going to generate dummy data here, which I'm going to name data. And this is going to be equal to a list. But this will be a special list that will include list of dictionaries. So it will simulate kind of a structured data that is coming from a database. Now we don't want to invent the world by creating modules and so on. So that's why I will just generate here dummy data very quickly with a couple of dictionaries. So what we have until now, we have ID, right? So we can start by our first task here, which will be ID equals to 1, and second field could be name, and I can give a name like update software, exactly like in here. Add here one more column, and then I can just say progress underscore PCT equals to 55, something like that. Now let's generate one more dictionary here. So I will copy this entirely, and I will add a comma, and I will paste this in again, and ID will be equal to 2, and then the second one will be deploy the website, just generating random task, and then the progress will be AD this time. Okay, so now we can go ahead to our context, and we can say that data is equal to data, and that is just data that we send to the template. Now going back to our home.html file, now we can start a for loop. So we can say, so we will use the syntax with the percentage signs, and we can say for row in data, and the for loop should be closed right where the tr tag is closed, right? So I can go ahead here and say end for between the curly brackets and the percentage sign. So now if we use a for loop, then it means that the data under those tags here could be changed into dynamically referring to the data from the views. So if we split the panes here, so right click and split right, and here we will take a look in the views.py file, then you can see that we have ID, name, and PCT, right? So this means that if we work on the HTML, then this should be replaced to row.id, right? So I can say row.id, and this will dynamically change. And this one should be row.name. So we will write this here. And now to the progress PCT. Let's see where we need to change that one. So if we go here, now we can close this. So you can see that we have one here. So this one should be changed to row.progress underscore PCT, like that, right? And I will allow myself to copy that with the double curly bracket syntax and just paste this in, and it will replace only the number. I want to leave the percentage sign that is just a stringified percentage sign, right? So now if we done this, then it is about time to test this out. If we refresh that, then you can see that we see a perfect result. Let's make that bigger. You can see that we have a table with the data that we want to display, and the progress is also perfect result. Okay, so now that we understood this, we should understand that as our Django application grows, then for example we might want to display more tables. So this means that we should have some more tables here, and maybe here, and also maybe in there, right? And we might also want to display more tables in separated pages. For example, if we want to make this application supported by multiple companies. So this means that we will always look up for different views that will render pretty much the same information, because each one of those pieces of information will be tables. So that is exactly the problem that we want to solve in that case. We want to make the table being kind of a component that will be reused in order to avoid copying HTML templates over and over again. And from now on, we will understand step by step the best practices how to maintain your templates in the best way that is possible. So first of all, besides having a table in a home.html file, which we might also want to use for different information because this is the home page of our application, we might consider moving all the code snippets that are responsible to display this table to a separated location. So for example, I can allow myself to take this entire div tag here and move it to a separated file. Now in those cases, I usually like to move it to a separate directory that is called includes. So this is the directory that I already have here, and I'm going to name this new HTML file base_template, and I'm going to click on add, and then I'm going to delete that and paste this in like that. Okay, and now if we want to use this base_table in some locations, for example in home like we did previously, then the only thing that we need to do now is to go ahead and say include, and then we should put here inside a string the relative path to the HTML file. So it will be includes /base_table.html. Now the reason that I'm using relative path, it is because those tags are already starting to search for the templates from the templates directory. So includes and then the base table.html. And if I refresh my homepage, then you can see that the table is still here. Now doing something like this will also allow us to easily duplicate this line and reuse the table, so you can see how easy it will be to reuse the same table in different locations if we separate a component like a table in a separated file. So that's a good start for how to avoid copying and pasting HTML templates. Okay, so using the include statement is nice and fine, but we still don't overcome over all the challenges of how to avoid HTML copying over and over. So you can see that one of the biggest problems here is the fact that those tables are still the exact same tables, meaning that it has the same title and it also has the same exact data. How we are going to use a different data and still take benefit from the attributes that we wrote inside this table. The attributes being the nice styling of the progress bar and the label with a nice visualization in here. So that is where the with keyword comes in and could be extremely helpful. I can go ahead to my base_table.html and I can use placeholders besides already declaring strings between my HTML tags, for example. Now, if we go ahead and take a look in one of the problematic parts in this base_table, then this is that part. This part displays the title of your tables, right? So what I can do instead of this is I can say that this one is going to be a placeholder by using the double curly brackets. Now, by using the double curly brackets, then I basically define a variable that is meant to be a placeholder. So I can placeholder this with a variable like table_title, right? And once I do something like this, then if we go back to our website and refresh it, then you can see that the titles are gone. Now, how we are going to create the titles again, and we are going to decide those from the home.html template in the following way. So if we go ahead to our home.html, then we can include some additional magic code here. So after including the base_table HTML, we can say with table_title equals to whatever you want. So let's say that we want this title to be first tasks, and we want the other one to be, so I will use the with and I will say that table_title is equal to other tasks, okay, something like that. And now that I have done this, then we basically override the table underscore title that is supposed to be a placeholder here. So if we split those, then we can understand that this first task is going to replace this one once it includes the entire file. So that is a beautiful thing, how to avoid copying and pasting HTML code. So if we go back to our application and refresh it, then you can see the result. First task here and other tasks in here. Now you might also say another statement. If we go back to our PyCharm, you might say to yourself, okay, so if someone uses the include, so I will use a third line, so I'm Control D here to basically duplicate it. Now let's say that someone forgot to declare table underscore title. Now I could give a default value to the table underscore title in case that it is not given from the place that it includes it. So this means that now we will have nothing, right? So no title, which looks a little bit weird compared to other tables, but you can actually give it a default value, and the syntax is going to be pretty easy here. So if we work on our base underscore table file, we can use a pipeline symbol, and we can say that the default is going to be equal to, pay attention that this time I'm using the colon and not the equal sign, and now I can give a default value, and the default value could be, I don't know, base table, whatever you would like to, right? So if I go here and refresh it, then you can see that I see base table because in the third include line I did not specify table underscore title, and that is why it used the default value. Alright, so now that we understood this, let's see what else we can do with the with statement that could be used within the include code block. Now I will allow myself to create a new URL endpoint here in order to simulate a situation that would display completed tasks, something like that. Okay, so I will go to my application and I will go to the URLs, and you can see that it has some URLs already. Now I will allow myself to copy and paste one of those lines in order to create a new URL, and of course in a new line, and I will just go ahead and say that this will be a path that will use a string like done underscore tasks, and then it will use a view that is called done tasks underscore page, and we will create this view just in a bit, and the name will be the same. Okay, so now I will go to my views and I will just go ahead and create a new function with this name that's supposed to be, and this will obviously receive a request as a parameter. And now we will go ahead and we will send our users to a different template, right? But first we need to generate some data that really simulates some tasks that have been completed. So this time I will again use this dummy data and I will just paste this in, but this time we will use it a little bit different. So IDs will be 3 and 4, and we will use different task names like complete YouTube video or write 2 hours of Python code, something like that. Okay, so those tasks should be 100% because we completed those, right? So this is a totally different data, right? So that's why I can also go ahead and change maybe the name of the variable to indicate that those tasks are done tasks. So I can say that done underscore tasks underscore data is equal to the following list. Okay, so now that we understood this, then I can go ahead and say that I'd like to return render, which will be request, and then now the template name is going to be a different template name. It will be a template name again inside the main directory, but this time we will not use home.html, we will use done tasks.html, which of course we are going to create in just a bit. And the context here is going to be equal to something like the following. So I will say that done underscore tasks underscore data is equal to done underscore task underscore data as well. Okay, so now that we have done this, then let's create this template. So I will copy the name of it like that, and I will go inside my main directory, inside my templates, and I will create a new HTML file, and I will paste the name, and then let's go ahead and use pretty much the same code like from the home.html, right? So what we have here, we have the extends base.html, right? So we are going to use this. So let's remove everything from here. Let's work side by side. So on the left side, there is the home.html, and here is the done underscore tasks. So we extend the base template, and we want to use blog content because we said that we have a content inside the base.html that we inherit from, and now we can use the includes. Now before that, let's verify that we have done a great job by going to this URL, done underscore tasks. So opening my browser here, I will say done underscore tasks, and you can see that we have an empty page, so that is good for us. Okay, so now let's see what we are going to do now. So closing all those tabs, now we should display the done tasks, right? So this will be again including the base table. So include, again, includes between double quotes here. So includes is the folder name / base underscore table.html. This is the template name, right? And now if I leave it as it is, then we will have some trouble because it will display nothing. Why is this happening? Now, if we go to our base underscore table.html, then you can see that here in this line, it tries to iterate over a variable that is called data. But in the done underscore tasks.html, we never have a variable that is recognized as data. We do have a variable that is recognized as done underscore tasks underscore data. So this doesn't mean that I need to keep all my variables equal to the exact same name, data. We can change this behavior by going to our done underscore tasks.html and again use the trick with the with statement. I can say that I like to override the data variable inside the base underscore template while I include it. So what that means? It means that I'm going to override this one variable here, and I'm going to say that with data equals to done underscore task underscore data. So what I do here is I basically override the data that is iterated in order to display the rows in the table, and I just receive the same result, which is just perfect. Okay, so now in order to test ourselves, then I'm going to refresh it, and you can see that this is exactly what we have now. By overriding the data variable in the base component of the template, we basically display a totally different data. Now you can remember that if we do not pass in table underscore title, then it uses this default variable, so I can definitely override this as well along the way. So with the with statement, you can override multiple variables, and that will be easily by using space as a separator. So first we have data equals to done tasks data, and we want to override table underscore title, and that will be equal to completed tasks. Right? This is exactly what we want. And if we go here and refresh it, then you can see that it is changed here, which is perfect. Okay, so there might be some more few things that you want to do in order to prettify this application, meaning that prettifying this table. Now you can see that the result in this table for tasks that have been completed totally are visualizing the same color, meaning that the label is red and the progress is blue. Now we could condition this table to display different colors if there is a completed task that it visualizes. So what that means? It means that before we go ahead and display the percentage completed with a specific styling, we can actually use an if conditional. For example, if the progress PCT is 100% or a number that is lower than 100. So let's go ahead and see how we can do that. So you can see that we have this TD tag here, for example, and it has the class of BG underscore danger. Now BG underscore danger stands for background danger. So I will allow myself to change that to a different styling because this is the string that is responsible to color it with red. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So first of all, let's make this more readable. So let's jump a line here and as well as here, and also maybe here, right? So we will have only this one in a separated line. Now if we refresh this, then you can see that we have the same result. Now, in addition, in this table data, meaning in those tags, we also have the progress bar itself, not the label. But you can see that it uses the div class progress bar danger. Now I'm going to change that. I'm going to take this one from here and see how it behaves. Okay, so it behaves the same, and I'm going to replace this with bg underscore danger just for now, so we will have the same colors. Okay, so good result until now. Okay, so what we could do in this template, and that is actually a bonus step that you could do in your templates, is the fact that you can decide the styling depending on some value. And in our case, it will be a better idea if we could somehow change all the coloring to yellow if the progress PCT is exactly equal to 100. So that's going to be a little bit unreadable at first, but we will go slower so that it will be clear and understandable, because sometimes the Django Jinja syntax could be very not friendly and not readable. Okay, so now we can see that our entire information that is surrounded around progress and label is located under this TD here, and also in here. So this means that those TD tags are what responsible to display the progress. So what I can do here is I can allow myself to use an if conditional that will decide the value of bg danger here. So I'm going to go ahead and say, so I will use the curly brackets and then the percentage sign. I can say that if row.progress underscore PCT is less than 100, and this should be closed by the endif keyword, and I'm also going to include else, right? So in each case we want to do something. If it is smaller than 100, we want to do something, and if it is bigger than 100, then we want to do something else. Okay, so now I will go ahead and basically play around with my table datas. So again, those should be inside here with different styling, and those should also be here with different styling. Now you might say that this is also an HTML spaghetti code, but I think that we earn a good value by duplicating this table data, because otherwise it will be just very unreadable code if you want to look for a way without copying and pasting those to decide the styling. So I will allow myself to grab those and copy and paste one here. Let me fix the indentation. And I will also copy and paste one here, like that. Okay, so now I can remove those, and now let's see what we have inside the conditional of if row.progress_pct is less than 100. Okay, so for those, let's again fix the indentation so we will have a readable HTML code. For those, we want to keep bg underscore danger, right? And also in this one, right? We want to keep the bg underscore danger. Now we could use a with statement to basically declare once bg underscore danger, but I'm going to leave it as it is. What I'm going to do now in the else statement is the change from bg dash danger. I was saying underscore until now, so excuse me about that. So bg dash success will be responsible to turn that to green, and we've done this for the first TD. Again, readability is going to be important here, so I will indent. And for the other one, we can go ahead and change this to success as well. Okay, so now that we have done this, then let's see if that's going to work for us. Okay, so for the done tasks, we see green, which is perfect. If we go back to our homepage, then you can see that we still see red. Now I can go ahead to my views and change one of the values here in the tasks. If I go ahead and change the update software to 99, now if I go ahead and refresh this, then you can see that we receive 99%, and that is good for us. If I change this to 100 and refresh this, then you can see a perfect result. So that is a good way to create a component in Django templates. Okay, so I hope you learned something new in this video. Please let me know if you enjoyed in this one, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Hit the like button if you enjoyed in here, and consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you in the next Django tutorial.